fundamental issues as much as we can. What were your initial thoughts on Ruto's speech yesterday?
When I watched the 8-day-old President of the Republic of Kenya on the global stage, I saw, of course, we had this discussion before, we saw he went straight into trying to position Kenya as a regional hub, and he tried to speak more about the issues which are not only facing Kenya, but also the region. Remember that the president is the diplomat #1 of our country. And then secondly, you cannot ignore the position of Kenya in terms of its influence in terms of the East African community and also the African Union at large.
Right.
So when you listen to his speech, this is a man who was not only speaking about the challenges which are faced by Kenya, he was also speaking about some of the challenges which are faced by our neighbors, and also trying to position his local policy on the global stage. Remember that the word hustler found itself in his speech. Remember, he quickly went ahead and talked about the bottom-up economic approach, which, of course, President Biden had already spoken about. And for me, overall, is that he knew the assignment as the diplomat #1 of the country, and he executed the assignment. The only challenge I'm having with my fellow countrymen and women, as my good brother here said, is now we are discussing about whether it was a teleprompter, I don't know how the name you use it, whether it was a teleprompter or what was it, on what he did. And I mean, sometimes we fail in terms of the qualitative analysis of something that has been done. We relegated the entire speech to whether he was reading or whether he had crammed. I mean, that is the conversation that I've seen on the interwebs. And we are looking at it from our political lens. I mean, I wish we can just get over this and know that we have transited from politics to governance. Those who got into government have to play their role. Those who go into the opposition have to play their role. Those who are hanging somewhere, they continue hanging.
And we're here to do that qualitative analysis of that speech for our viewers. And Annabel, in a nutshell, what was your view of the President's address at the UN?
To pick up from where he's left off, first of all, teleprompter, no teleprompter, doesn't really matter. It's actually a nonsensical conversation. He has taken oath of office. He is now our president, citizens of Kenya, so he speaks for us. What I liked is he's coming from, the first foreign policy we had was, came to birth in 2014. Its pillars are peace, economic and commercial diplomacy, cultural diplomacy, diaspora diplomacy, environmental diplomacy. Now the things that are coming out from what he was addressing, we're seeing SDGs coming out very clearly from no poverty, hunger, education, climate change, and then the most crucial one, which is number 17, partnerships to achieve the goal. So when he's talking about COVID, clearly brought to the fore the fact that we have 2 lanes on this highway where it's like we have an exclusive club for some, is something we're going to have to discuss whether we like it or not, because we're not going to achieve these goals if we're not working hand in hand. The other issues you're touching on, such as food security, if we don't have food security, then our children aren't going to school. We don't have, for us as Kenya, our human resource is our largest, is one of our niche areas as a country. So again, if our people are not healthy, if they're not well fed, then what are we doing? So he not only, and then again, in as far as Agenda 2063, he not only spoke as President of Kenya, but he also clearly expressed the position of the African Union, of which we're a member state. So he's telling the world, you need to listen to Africa. If you're not listening to Africa, then we're going to have a problem, because for us to move forward, Africa has to be part of the conversation, and Africa has to play a part in driving the agenda.